Now, alcohol. This is one of the one of the great pastimes of our society is drinking alcohol. So now you do consume alcohol on some level, even if you abstain from alcoholic beverages, because sugar alcohols get created if foods are combined poorly. Like if you eat protein and sugar together, you're going to wind up with sugar alcohols. The sugars will ferment. They'll get held up by the protein and they'll turn into sugar alcohol. So people can enjoy food not just for the taste, but also for the alcohol it creates, like a sandwich or a pizza, steak and potatoes. I mean, these things are a classic food combination of starch and protein, and basically create alcohol. So you can actually get buzzed from eating these types of foods, which is another reason I think people like them. Now, man, and we are obsessed with alcohol, you know. Now, basically, you would want to definitely avoid alcohol if it comes from an ingredient that you wouldn't eat the original ingredient. So, beer comes from grains. Well, we've talked so much about how grains are a complex sugar. They're acid forming, very, very harmful when consumed to humans. And so, yeah, drinking beer is like eating liquid fermented bread. So, same thing with vodka, which comes from potatoes, or other examples. Whiskey is about not drinking alcohol from a food that you wouldn't eat. But what about other alcohols? What about wine, which comes from grapes? What about tequila, which comes from the agave plant? These are more natural. These would be not as bad as the other alcohols, in my opinion. Now, they can still have chemicals added to them, which are quite toxic in the processing, like sulfates, which get added to wine. Now, can you find alcohol, which is sort of all natural with no toxins, no sulfates, no artificial ingredients added? Yes. I mean, there's products out there like that. Now, what if you consume that? What if you have alcohol? It's from, let's say, wine or tequila, and it's all natural. It doesn't have preservatives and chemicals and sulfates. Are there still issues with consuming it? I know you want me to say no, that it's fine. You can still consume it. Now, this is the least bad way you could consume alcohol, but there are still issues. I mean, alcohol in any form, it's going to be acidic. It's going to upset the alkaline balance of the body. The alcohol, it's harsh to the mouth, the throat, the stomach, the GI tract. The fact that it's fermented sugar alcohols, it's gonna encourage yeast, fungus, candida. It's gonna upset your microbiome in that way. Alcohol is dehydrating. It creates toxicity in excess amounts. It overworks the liver, overworks the kidneys, causes added stress to the heart. There's effects on the brain that are concerning. I mean, these are only a few of the problems with alcohol. So, there's better and worse ways you could consume it. And you're always going to consume some level of alcohol to some degree because of how foods get processed, and especially if you eat poorly combined foods. So that's the thing. Some people can still get away with drinking it. I mean, it's very tempting. Very, very tempting. It makes you feel just so great, and that's the problem with it. So now some people can get away with drinking it, and you know what? Maybe you can too. Some people have a Keith Richards complex. They can just abuse their bodies and they're still fine. So maybe you can still drink alcohol and live to be 70, 80, 90, you know, devoid of health problems relatively, and so forth. So not everyone has that luxury. You know, if you're like the rest of us, where you're not just superhuman or whatever, you can't afford to take one step forwards and then one step back and kind of be your own worst enemy. And if you can't, if that's not working for you, or if it's causing problems, or you're sowing the seeds of later health problems, then just go ahead and cut it out. I mean, after I stopped, I whittled it down slowly. I got to the point where I didn't even crave it. I think a lot of craving alcohol is fungal. People crave it a lot of times. Maybe they probably have fungus, parasites, and if you go a couple of weeks without it, you're likely to not even crave it. But I would still drink it at social functions every couple months or whatever, and then after I really just stopped, it was, I just, everything rocketed to a whole new level. And I felt so good at the regular, just throughout my day, regular times. My mood was so much better than it had been before. And so, yes, there's less peaks and valleys, but it's more just steady. But the baseline sense of normalcy is so much better without it, for me personally. So now, I'm still on the straight and narrow. I mean, I'll have a sip or something, maybe, once in a while. But yeah, I mean, I'm still on the straight and narrow there. So now there are social ramifications. It can be awkward to go to a bar or happy hour or a party or whatever, and you could feel left out and so forth. So there's some ways you can deal with that. Okay, you can order juice in a glass. Sometimes what I do is I just order a sparkling mineral water in a glass with a wedge of lime. And if I have that with a straw, nobody ever even asks me what I'm drinking. Everyone just assumes that I'm going along. And people will just slap you on the back. They'll tell you embarrassing things. They'll clink glasses with you. And you'll feel included. And I promise, when people go out and they're partying and having a good time, they literally won't even notice what you're drinking, or honestly, they'll just assume that you're doing the same thing that they're doing, you know, for the most part. So that's how you can handle that. You know, it's a personal choice. I don't judge you, whatever you do. Just don't have blinders on, and don't be naive saying there's no consequences if you consume alcohol. Have this awareness about it, so that if you do it, you know, you have an awareness about what you're doing.